the pick. Stride it out, Jesse. Touchdown, Atlanta. No chance. Oh, my God. Oh, my heavens.
Buffalo Bills coming to town. Not only do they have bye week, not only that it's a red helmet week, but it's primetime week.
All right.
For me, I just like the whole look of the whole uniform. It's just a throwback Falcon with the black jerseys, the white pants with the stripe. Just make you feel real vintage. It's the best studio. What I got going.
Yeah, I think the classic Falcons uniform is the best uniform, maybe in the entire NFL.
Boy, are they going to lick their chops.
You look good, you play good.
Now the stadium is rocking.
But the uniforms are great. It's a touch of history. They were that many years ago, and just to wear that as a one-off is pretty cool.
One man missed him, another man missed him. Now he's going wide off to the right. Beyond to the 25 to the 30, to the 35, the 40, the 45, the 50, the 45, the 40. My God, Deion Sanders is going to score. My God. Intercepted Jesse Bates. He's got green grass. Stride it out, Jesse. Touchdown, Atlanta. Caught Daryl Hodge. 35, 30. Take it, baby. 20, 15, 10, 5. Drive home safely.
It's a special moment, and then you're also representing, a lot of the players that came before you, and you feel the heritage of what it is to be a Falcon. So.
Would look good, feel good, play good, they're going to pay good.
Darnell at the 5, and Darnell a touchdown for the Falcons. 45 to 40, 35 to 30, and 25, touchdown, touchdown. I'm not believing what I just saw.
You gotta look good, you play good, pay good, live good, die good.
Well, we welcome you to a beautiful fall day in downtown Atlanta as the Atlanta Falcons get set to host the Super Bowl favorites in the Buffalo Bills. This is the 14th time ever of these two meeting. The last time they met was in 2021, and tonight both teams will be wearing their throwback uniforms, and both teams need to prove something to the league tonight as the Buffalo Bills coming off of a loss last week, and the Falcons still trying to figure out what they are going to be this season. Thank you guys for joining us for the Falcons pregame show presented by Ticketmaster. I'm Taylor Vismor. I got a special guest in the house with me tonight. Derek Rackley is calling the game for Westwood One tonight, so we wish him good luck there. But this is Will McFadden. He joined us last year for the Sunday Night Football game against the Commanders. Thank you so much for joining me. How are you feeling going into this game tonight?
Oh my God, Taylor, what a way to come back off the bye week. I am maybe more excited for this game than I have been in a long, long time for any Falcons game. The energy in the building is going to be amazing, and I have a feeling that the Falcons are going to play pretty well tonight against a very, very good opponent.
It's going to be a fun game. It's going to last really all 4 quarters. I think it's going to be it's going to be good on both sides of the ball. So before we actually talk about the Bills and what the Falcons are going to try to do to stop them tonight and stop Josh Allen of all people, let's actually look back really briefly at the first 4 weeks, because when you do hit the bye, it is a good litmus test to take a second and see what this team has put on paper thus far. So looking at the first 4 games, what's impressed you about this team going forward?
Yeah, I think one of the main things that we knew the Falcons had to be able to do this season was run the ball, right? And they've been able to do that. I know there were some concerns after week 1 against Tampa Bay. Bijan still got his. But the Falcons have by and large been a ground-dominant team. They are 6th in the league in rushing yards per game this season, averaging a little bit over 136 yards per game. And really, it's just been Bijan Robinson.
Right.
Like, he is so much fun to watch. He is currently on pace to finish 2nd all-time in all-purpose yards behind Chris Johnson, that incredible season he had. So Bijan is doing a little bit of everything. And then how about the offensive line? Right, when Caleb McGarry went down at the very end of training camp, there were rightfully a lot of concerns about what Atlanta's right tackle position would look like and the run game along with it, because Caleb is so good at that. And Elijah Wilkinson, man, hats off to him. He has played so well. And this offensive line is the only group in the NFL where all 5 starters have played 100% of the snaps this season.
Yeah, there's a wooden slab behind me, and I'm knocking on the wood. Because thank you. I've been really impressed with Elijah Wilkinson, and I do think coming into this season there were so many questions about what he would be able to do and how defenses would kind of go against him and how they would kind of try to flood him a little bit to get to the quarterback.
Yeah.
And I think he's done such a really good job in standing his ground and really making the position his own. It wasn't, well, how is he going to fill Caleb McGarry's shoes? I think he kind of came in and kind of became his own player in a way, and I think he's done a really great job. On the other side of the ball, though, I've been so impressed with this defense. I think coming into the season, it was really everyone kind of thought that this Falcons offense would be firing on all cylinders, and the defense would have to kind of catch up throughout the season. And it's really been a tale of different sides, right? The defense has done really well so far, and the offense is still trying to figure out who their identity is. I know that we showed you a graphic earlier in the show, but they're the first in the NFL right now in yards per game. They only allowed 244 yards. This pass rush has done really well. The inside linebackers, like I talked about, those guys all day long with Divine Diablo and Caleb Ellis. Those 2 guys and this defense in general has done so great. I mean, you look about this rookie class in general and where they are in this field and how they have affected this defense moving forward. I've been so impressed with this defense, and I can't wait to see what they do for the next 13 straight weeks.
Absolutely. I mean, we knew that this defense was going to feel differently, that they were going to have a different energy. That was apparent from the very first preseason game. It kind of didn't matter who was out there. But the newcomers have played up to everybody's expectations, and then maybe then some. Like, Xavier Watts could have 4 interceptions so far this season. That is insane when you're talking about a rookie safety. The pass rush has been great. The defense has just been aces so far. Yeah, and I know that I've been really impressed by them. I just gave you a whole dissertation on why I've been so impressed by them. But I know that for you, that you are wanting to see a little bit more improvement from this defense as we go into this 13 straight week stretch. Why do you want to see some more growth from them? Yeah, well, I think it's more about just the style of defense that Jeff Ulbrich ultimately wants to bring here to Atlanta. And a big part of that is the ability to rush 4 and affect the quarterback and generate pressure with just your front 4. Right now, the Falcons are the blitz happiest team in the league, and that has been effective. They've got 10 sacks, so what they're doing is working. But ultimately, I think they want to evolve the style of this group and free up that extra 5th defender to do some different things and be a little bit more creative in coverage. So when you're looking at kind of where this defense can go from here, the start I have no qualms with at all. They have been amazing. I will take it every single day of the week. Yeah. However, I do think there's room for growth, and that is what is exciting about what this unit could ultimately be. Yeah, well, you're not the only one that thinks that there is room for growth for this defense. Defensive coordinator Jeff Ulbrich spoke to me there earlier in the week about how this defense can improve moving forward.
What are some areas that you pinpoint for improvement right now?
Well, the run defense is not where we want it to be right now, so we got to improve that. And there has been a little bit of growing pains when you teach this attack style. There's moments of games, and it's human nature, and we got to fight it at all times. And with more time on task, it'll go away. But when a little bit of adversity hits, there's just human instinct to go back to what you know and go back to what you've been programmed to do your entire life. And because we're not going to deviate, we're not going to change, we're not going to alter our style at all. So it just, in my experience, this stuff will just improve, and it'll keep improving. You know, from a pass rush standpoint, and really from just the ball standpoint, turnovers and sacks, and like, we've been okay, but way too many misstops. Way too many misstops on the ball. We got to finish those plays. Great defenses make those plays. They change the game. Obviously, we know the ball is everything, and the sacks. Like, I don't want to be a big pressure team. I don't. I want us to rely on our front 4 to win and do their thing and play coverage behind it. You know, but right now we're just not quite there yet. We're getting closer to that, and we're working towards that, where we'll pressure a little bit less, and until we get there, that's what we'll have to do, you know, and to help the players out and put them in the best position to be successful. But I'd like for that to improve as we get going too. Just less pressure, less blitzing, less bringing 5 in there.
All right, well, Jeff Ulbrich is hoping that this defense and this pass rush continues to develop and break out in this 13-week stretch that we have on in the later half of the season that we're in now. But let me ask you that same question. Who are you hoping breaks out going forward in this season?
Yeah, we've been talking a lot about the defense here so far, but let's talk about the passing game. Like, if there's one element of this team that maybe has been slow going to begin the season, it has been this passing offense. And Drake London, he's dealt with some injuries. He's been battling through some stuff, but so far, 24 catches, 269 yards, and 1 touchdown. I just expect maybe a little bit more from Drake London, and I certainly expect him to kind of pick things up moving forward as the rest of the passing game, as Michael Penix kind of finds his footing and gains a little bit more consistency. I think Drake is going to benefit. He is being targeted deep at the lowest rate of his career so far, and we know how good he is downfield on contested balls. So I think that number is going to change, and I expect Drake's kind of overall output to rise along with it.
Yeah, if I had to choose like one thing that I would like to have improvement for this Falcons team, it would be the pass catching and just in general with Drake and the wide receivers and then the tight ends as well. I think Kyle Pitts is having a great season so far. I would like to see that kind of improve moving forward. But my big guy that I would like to have improve is James Pierce Jr., right?
Yeah,
I think during training camp, no one could look away from him. Even if you tried to not watch James Pierce Jr., you were watching James Pierce Jr. He was a tyrant during camp. He was winning one-on-ones left and right. And I think so many teams saw that. They heard about James Pierce Jr. They heard about what he was going to be able to do. And so they started to double team James Pierce a little bit. So he's been really quiet in terms of sacks, pressures. He only has a half sack so far this season. And of course, the pressures that he has gotten has created sacks for other players like Zach Harrison and Rook and other guys like Leonard Floyd as well. But I would like to see James Pierce really come out of the shell. He loves getting to the quarterback. When you ask him about it, he's like, all the hairs on your neck stand up when you get close to the quarterback. So I know he's itching to get to the quarterback, and I'm hoping that the development process of a rookie year, he'll get there sooner rather than later this season, because I think once he figures it out and finds his footing, he'll be very dangerous. He'll be the person that everyone stars on this defense.
Absolutely. No, he is. You can already feel the impact beginning to creep up there, but I do think there's so much more room for him to grow, and finishing when he gets near the quarterback, because he's been near the quarterback a good amount.
Yeah.
That's next for him.
All right, well, let's go ahead and talk about this Bills offense, because everyone's talking about Josh Allen. It's not just he and I today. It's everyone in the league. He's the reigning most valuable player in the NFL, and rightfully so. He's on fire. I mean, but let's talk about last week first before we talk about how great Josh Allen is, because everyone has a hiccup game, right? And they had one last week. 11 penalties, 3 turnovers for Josh Allen. It's a lot of turnovers for anyone, but that's a lot of penalties for Josh Allen. Talk to me about what you saw from the Patriots game last week from the Bills.
Yeah, I think the turnovers and penalties are a great place to start, right? Anytime that you finish +2 in the turnover margin, you got a good chance of winning that game. The Patriots were able to score 10 points off of the turnovers that they got from Buffalo, and that really helps even the odds. Falcons would do well to get a couple of turnovers in this one. But when you look at maybe from a schematic standpoint, what the Falcons could lean on as a blueprint, I mentioned they're the blitz happiest team so far in the league. Buffalo's offensive line is the best pass protecting unit in the NFL. And then when they do let somebody through, Josh Allen is one of the very best at evading pressure and buying time and making plays out of structure. So the Patriots blitzed only 4 times. They really said, we're not going to let them beat us deep. They're not going to get easy explosive plays. The ones the Buffalo did get came out of structure. And they plastered the guys. They kind of just made life frustrating for the Bills. They made Josh Allen be patient. And if you're going to let Josh Allen beat you, take everything else away from him, and that's kind of what they were able to do last week, and that's kind of what I expect the Falcons to try to emulate.
Yeah, there's been so much conversation I saw on Twitter last week. Everyone was like, no, I wish they didn't lose to the New England Patriots, because now they're definitely going to beat the Falcons. And that's kind of where I want to start with this conversation with the Bills is, how much does that loss affect how they play today?
Yeah, it's a great question. And honestly, I had kind of the same gut instinct and reaction.
No, Will,
yeah, you never want to see somebody kind of coming off a loss. And then I heard, Dave Archer on Falcons Audible this week kind of talking about, from a player's perspective, in the NFL, these guys are pros, right? They're not going to rise too much or fall too much after 1 week. However, this is where I'll disagree with Arch a little bit, is I do think good teams don't lose back-to-back games, right? So while it may not be kind of an emotional reason to go out here and win this game and avenge last week's loss or all that jazz, I do think that there is an added incentive for a very good team that has been playing football at the highest levels of the playoffs, and they do have Super Bowl aspirations. They got to go out here and check this box of say, we're not a bad team. We don't let losses compound. and they have a reason to go out and kind of pay more attention this week, be on their P's and Q's, and this is already a good enough team. You don't want them extra focused, even if it is a little bit.
Yeah, well, they're a great team, and they don't lose back-to-back games. Josh Allen in his career is 24-8 after losses. He's only lost 8 back-to-back games in his career, so the odds are stacked towards Josh Allen tonight. But here's the thing that I also think about after the Carolina game when talking to Chris Lindstrom. He said, look, it's an embarrassing loss when you lose 0-30, when you don't answer any of the points that they put up. It's embarrassing, it's hard, but you come into Monday, you watch the tape, and then you flush it. Because if you do not flush it, you cannot focus on the next person at hand, the next team at hand. My dad taught me growing up all the time. I told you this earlier in the pregame or in the day. Don't let Alabama beat you twice. Just because you lose to Alabama, you can't let them beat you again the next week because you don't focus on what you have coming down the pipeline. And so do I think that the loss might propel them to work harder for the win? Maybe, but I also think that they're pros and they flush these things down the toilet because they have to. It's 17 games, it's 18 weeks, it's a long season. If you don't have a short-term memory, you're going to find yourself in that 8 column of losses that Josh Allen has had back-to-back losses in. So speaking of Josh Allen, let's talk about this offense finally. I mean, y'all might have been able to hear all the fans in the stands cheering on for when Josh Allen just ran out. There's a lot of blue in the stands right now. Hopefully they'll be kind of sparse throughout the game with some red. But let's go ahead and talk about this Buffalo Bills offense because, like I said earlier, reigning most valuable player. He's hard to stop, and like I told you before the show started, I think it's not about how do you stop Josh Allen, it's how do you prevent anyone else around him to have a good game.
Absolutely, yeah. He's got a great supporting cast. He obviously can do a lot himself, but when you're talking about a guy like James Cook, who is second in the NFL in rushing yards, right? He provides a drumbeat, a consistency that keeps your offense on schedule, and then he's got really good outside. Keon Coleman is a nice, like, big-bodied receiver who's fast and run downhill. Khalil Shakir is another really speedy weapon. But Dalton Kincaid was kind of his go-to guy in the Patriots game. And I'm a little bit, curious to see who's going to maybe fill that role for him tonight. Is if Atlanta's able to get Josh Allen kind of out of the comfort zone of the play and he hits that backdrop and he doesn't know exactly where to go, who does he find? Who's able to break away? Divine Diablo has been amazing at erasing tight ends. That's usually a comfort blanket. So you don't want to let Josh Allen get help, right? If he has to do it himself, he has to do it himself.
Yeah, you bring up Dalton Kincaid, and obviously this Bills offense uses a lot of tight ends. They use a lot of 12 personnel, even 13 personnel. They like to use their tight ends, and Dalton Kincaid will be inactive today, as you can see on the screen here with the inactives. We knew Matt Milano was going to be out coming into this game, but the bigger question about who was going to be active or inactive was Ed Oliver. He will obviously play, and we'll get to him a little bit later in the show today. But let's kind of talk about how this Falcons defense, like you mentioned, Divine Diablo, Caden Ellis, obviously. I mean, this is a blitz-heavy defense, but the Bills' offense has not allowed him many sacks, and especially against blitzes. You talked about it earlier before the show started. How do you, as a defense, not let Josh Allen get too big, and how do you make sure that you prevent him from getting in the end zone as much as possible?
Yeah, I think what you really need to do is kind of take that fifth defender that you've been using as a blitzer, keep him back, spy the quarterback a little bit, right? And maybe it's a little bit of a different approach than somebody like Baker Mayfield, who can scramble when you give him the opportunity. Josh Allen is a scrambler. Josh Allen is a freight train coming downhill at you, so you need to be prepared for that. And they've got a few different candidates that they could use to ultimately spy Josh Allen, whether that is Caden Ellis, whether that is maybe a rookie like Jalen Walker. Like, I think his skill set is so unique in this sense. Maybe it's Divine Diablo, now freed up from not having Dalton Kincaid and those responsibilities. So there is kind of, I think, a concentrated effort that you have to have with a player like Josh Allen to not let him kind of break past the defensive line and then just have all this room to run.
Sure.
You got to hone him in. And then it's going to help maybe having A.J. Terrell back in at your number one corner spot. You feel better about playing some tight coverage on the back end.
Very much so, and I kind of want to continue to give you the floor on this spy, because he's talked about this spy all week long. And of course, you just gave a couple of names and you kind of explained why you need a spy, but how does the spy work? Where do we need to look for? Where do we need to see the spy? And how do you notice, okay, that guy's a spy tonight?
Ooh, yeah. So it could be like the guy that's standing in the middle, kind of not doing anything until Josh Allen does something, is maybe the best way to describe it. But where that could come from that's kind of the beauty of a defensive design, is it could come from anywhere. A simulated pressure means you're usually dropping one of your front four out and bringing somebody else. So conceivably, you could see Zach Harrison back there. Like, that wouldn't be my choice, but like, that's a creative defense, is to get anybody who you wouldn't expect back there. Jesse Bates is a good candidate. Maybe DeMarco Helms. He could be somebody who, now back off injury, they like his physicality. He's a player who could maybe match Josh Allen's athleticism and then bring the wood when he actually gets there and needs to make the tackle.
All right, perfect. All right, well, this is a good-on-good matchup. I mean, it's not even good-on-good. It's great-on-great because, like I said earlier, this Falcons defense is number 1 in the NFL in yards per game. Excuse me. This Bills offense is number 3 overall. Falcons, like I said, number 1 defense. Bills is one of 3 teams in the top 10 in scoring, rushing, and passing offense. This is going to be a huge game, and like you said, having A.J. Terrell is going to be a huge help today. Let's talk about that secondary just really briefly, because we know that they have James Cook, but yes, Josh Allen. I mean, you got to be able to throw it if you're going to win the MVP. How do you see Xavier Watts, maybe A.J. Terrell, or even Jesse Bates being big playmakers tonight?
Yeah, I think that's the key word, right, is I would expect some zone coverage from Atlanta. I think the Patriots had a little bit more success when deploying zone coverage instead of man against Josh Allen. And what that means, is each defender is kind of responsible for their area of the field and whether or not you kind of stick with the receiver when they're in that zone. But it allows a defender to keep eyes on the quarterback and maybe have some of those ball hawking instincts come to fruition because you have the freedom to maybe make a play. So I think Jesse Bates is going to be huge tonight. I think Xavier Watts, as you mentioned, it's going to be like fun to get his first taste of action against a player like Josh Allen. And Mike Hughes, right? He has been really underratedly so good this year, and I expect that to remain the case tonight. And he'll probably get some targets with A.J. Terrell back in the lineup, but it is a good-on-good matchup. The Falcons have the best pass defense in the league, and they're going up against one of the very best quarterbacks in the league.
Yeah, my favorite part in this week of press conferences was Jesse Bates basically like begging offenses, like, please throw the ball to me.
Yeah, that was
like,
great, right?
Xavier Watts has 2 interceptions already. They're going to have to start throwing the ball to me. That's just Jesse saying, please send me the ball. I would like to do more work on the defense. Please. Like, no, don't give it to Xavier. He's actually really good. I'm really good too, but just send it to me. So it's going to be interesting to see how Josh Allen works with these 2 safeties who are real big, huge ball hawks. A.J. Terrell obviously back. Billy Bowman tonight will be inactive along with Clark Phillips. And then the wide receiver core is a little bit touch and go here now with Ray McLeod being out and Darnell Mooney, which brings us to, let's transition into this offense because Mooney has been touch and go really all season long. He missed pretty much all of training camp, and he's missed a couple of games in the regular season as well. Ray McLeod, he will be out today. That really leaves you to one major name as a wide receiver. Obviously, Casey Washington, Kadero Hodge, they will kind of sub in for these guys. But I actually want to start with who's throwing the ball tonight in Michael Penix Jr. because this is a huge stage for Michael because everyone knows who Josh Allen is. Not everyone knows who Michael Penix is. They know Michael Penix from Washington. They don't necessarily know Michael Penix as a Falcon. And I think if you want to be a national name, that starts tonight, and it starts by showing them that Washington game from 2 weeks ago was not just a blip on the radar. The Carolina game was a blip on the radar, and that he is what he put on paper last week, and we'll see if he'll be able to do that again tonight. What do you expect to see from Michael Penix tonight against this pretty good Bills defense?
Well, I think Michael Penix has kind of played his best in big moments, and I think this is the biggest moment he's been in so far. I know Washington last year, that was on the road, a crazy environment, but tonight it is the Buffalo Bills. They are Super Bowl favorites for a lot of people. Josh Allen is the reigning MVP. You got to go toe-to-toe with him, right? So I expect him to kind of rise to this occasion. Yeah. We saw him be a gamer in college. I mean, that Texas tape, still talked about amongst the scouting community to this day, Taylor. So he has that in him, and I think the way that he bounced back from kind of a poor showing against Carolina, really played well. His best game, I think, of the season against Washington just gives me confidence and kind of backs up what a lot of the coaches and everybody has said about him, which is he is cool, he is calm, he doesn't get too high, doesn't get too low. So I think the resiliency was great, and obviously there was a nice big change to help him with Zach Robinson moving down to the sideline. Yeah, well, me and a couple other people in the Falcons building, we sat down for a roundtable earlier in the week to talk about Michael Penix and the 2 former quarterbacks in the room. They spoke on the current Falcons quarterback and what impresses them the most.
I think we knew he was a student of the game, but maybe not to the depth we're seeing. And I think the mental part of it that you mentioned is probably the most important. To play this position in this league when everybody is so good, and you're not going to have a 300-yard game every day. You're not going to go out there and throw for 75% every game. You got to find ways to get yourself through it, and I think he's already figured out how to do that. And he came in, like Arch mentioned, as a guy who's played a lot of football, so he's been through some of the tough times, and now he's figuring it out on this level.
All right, so they kind of talked about his adversity there and how much he has been through. I mean, I think he's got a major story of adversity, not just from the injuries that he's dealt with, but just from transferring and then having to play and sit out for half the season last year and do his thing now and kind of start with these bigger games like Washington last year. When you look at Michael Penix, so I'm so excited to see what he's able to do tonight. Like we mentioned, 2 major wide receivers of this starting offensive group, they will be out tonight. How do you think he's going to spread the wealth to make sure that Drake isn't double teamed all night long?
Yeah, I mean, they're going to have a good offensive game plan, but I do think the adversity element could come to bear tonight as well, right? Like he has been through a lot in his career so far for such a young player that if they maybe start out a little bit sluggish tonight or a play doesn't go their way early, this has been a group that has done a really good job of problem solving and going back in and regrouping, and I do think that starts with the quarterback. So if at any point it feels like it's getting a little tight, I do trust number 9 to kind of maybe settle things in and figure it out. But to your point, the real question is, how much do you want to lean on Bijan Robinson in this game? And then what else do the Bills try to take away? Because if they try to take away Bijan, that is where, all right, is Drake able to really carry a lot of this workload? Because here's the sneaky thing, Taylor, is the Bills are very good against tight ends. Yeah. So I know a lot of people naturally are like, all right, Kyle Pitts, step up, let's do it. They're second in against tight ends behind only the Falcons. So that's kind of a sneaky good tight end matchup tonight. But they have done a really good job of erasing that position. So without Darnell Mooney, without Ray McLeod, is Casey Washington going to be able to step up to Darryl Hodge? Like, I don't know. So I really do think it's going to be a Bijan-centric kind of game plan tonight. And, there's not much better people in the league to really revolve around than the number 7 out there.
Yeah, well, I know that for whatever their pregame show is, even if they have a pregame show, I know that their number 1 key to the game will be stop Bijan Robinson. That's everyone's key to the game. Every time they take on the Falcons is how do you shut down Bijan? I'm sure they spent all week, this defense, trying to figure out how do you stop Bijan because he is the cornerstone of this offense, and it seems like you can flip a coin and most likely it's going to go to Bijan, the ball, whether it's in running or in passing. And I think it's going to be really interesting to see how they evolve to make sure that Bijan can be protected, he can still play at a high level, and everyone else can kind of be fed. I think you saw that concerted effort in Zach Robinson in week 4. We don't have any pass catchers in the end zone, so here we go. Kyle Pitts and Drake London, you're both going to get in there today, along with Bijan and Tyler Algier. So it's been really interesting. I know that there's been so many changes in this offensive room as in general with Zach Robinson coming down to the field. You mentioned it a little bit earlier. TJ Yates becoming the wide receiver coach and assuming that role. What have you seen in terms of the responsibility to make sure that this offense can be as good as it should be? How have you seen this offense kind of work with that?
Yeah, well, I loved the decision to bring Zach Robinson down to the sideline, right? I think it made all the sense in the world last year with a veteran quarterback like Kirk Cousins to have your offensive coordinator up in the booth, right? The best advantage for Kirk in that scenario is to have a different viewpoint and being able to communicate, hey, what I'm seeing up from the sky, because Kirk has all the experience. He knows how to operate in and out of a huddle, down on the sideline, yada, yada, yada. Michael Penix, only in his 7th, 8th start, right? From that perspective, I think they benefit from sharing the same viewpoint. Yeah. And I think they want to see things from the same angle. And being down there, Zach Robinson said he's just able to get a better feel of the energy, of the pulse of the team, the ebbs and flows of a game. So I'm not surprised that they had a much better offensive showing, their best of the season, 34 points against Washington after the move was made. They are going to keep it that way from here on out for the rest of the season. I think that's a great call, and yeah, I'm really excited to see what they have cooked up in this one.
Yeah, it's going to be really fun. I think, too, last year when Michael started, I was always so excited to see a Chris Blair out there or even a Casey Washington out there, because these are the guys that he really worked with when he was learning how to be an NFL quarterback. So they've got a little bit of a friendship in that manner, if that makes sense, on the field. Obviously, they have one off the field as well, but specifically on the field, they have that continuity with each other. So whenever Casey Washington goes deep, I'm like, get him. He's over there. Get him, please. And so it's going to be really interesting to see how Zach Robinson calls this game, if he's going to rely a lot on this run game with Tyler Algier and Bijan Robinson, or if he's going to kind of do a spread, kind of everyone spreading the wealth a little bit here tonight. Something that I want to mention, though, as we kind of look towards how this Bills defense is going to try to stop this Falcons offense, is that the Bills are first in the league in time of possession. The Falcons are second in terms of time of possession when they get the ball. This is going to be probably the fastest game of all time, okay, when you watch it, because they're just going to be trying to keep the ball and chip away and chip down the field, and it's going to be exciting in that manner of they're going to, both these offenses are going to try to keep the ball for as long as possible. The game really comes down to who can keep the ball longer, who can come away with the time of possessions. How will this Bills defense try to get off the field quickly tonight?
Yeah, I mean, I really do think both offenses are going to try to hold serve, right? And honestly, you want to eat as much of that clock as you can, limit the possessions. Like, I think that Atlanta's, it's weird. I'm going to almost take the Bills' defense out of the equation here.
Okay, I thought you were going to say, I'm going to take the Bills' defense, period. I'm like, no.
No, because I kind of think, and Atlanta's defense, like, to me, this is a matchup between offenses. As good as Atlanta's defense has been, I do think the best defense for Buffalo's offense is possessing the ball on offense, scoring touchdowns, being efficient in the red zone, making the most of your opportunities, and then shortening the game, as you mentioned, because when the other team has to start kind of feeling boxed into a corner and they're like, oh man, we only have 3 more possessions and we got to make up 14 points. All right, we got to start throwing the ball. We got to try to maybe eke out 1 more possession and lengthen this game. So being efficient on first down, I think, is where it starts. That's where a great run game really comes into play. And if you're going to get your explosives, I honestly don't mind them coming on the ground. We know how good Bijan Robinson is at forcing missed tackles. Well, the Bills allow an average of 6.7 yards after a missed tackle. So that could be a little bit of a cheat code for Atlanta's offense if they're not able to get stuff through the air. Again, that's why I don't mind it being in Bijan's hands as much as possible, because the Bills are giving up a lot on the ground, not just in terms of kind of consistency, but in the home run play as well, which Bijan really worked on this offseason and has kind of come to fruition. So the Bills' defense, they're down Matt Milano. Ed Oliver coming back is going to be huge. They're a little bit of a different run defense with him in there. But honestly, the Falcons have been very heavy on outside runs outside of the tackles, so maybe they're able to avoid Ed Oliver kind of in general. And then I would expect Zach Robinson to kind of play matchups, hunt for those matchups, move Drake London around, maybe play Kyle Pitts. You know, I said that Buffalo was great against tight ends. Maybe don't use him as a tight end. Let's maybe use him as a wide receiver, right? He's a unicorn for a reason.
Unicorn, yeah, exactly.
Let's do it. Let's let him. Let's let the unicorn roam. Put him out there at the X receiver. See what you got.
Well, speaking about Kyle Pitts, I actually spoke to him right before we hit the bye about the Washington game, and I said there were some big moments, some big series where you guys were able to flip the field really quickly. Obviously, the Bijan Robinson 69-yard. No touchdown that Kyle Pitts was like, that was brutal, you have to score, but thank you so much because I got the touchdown. But then there were some series where you were chipping away. What does chipping away kind of say about this team? And he said, you know, you can't just, you have to nickel and dime it sometimes. You can't flip the field every single time. It doesn't make sense, you know, as a team, because you're going to get off the field so much faster if you just flip the field. Sometimes it's about nickel and diming your way to the end zone, and it's looking to the guy to your left, to your right, saying, hey, we're gonna push this defense all the way back into the end zone. It's going to take a little bit longer, but we're going to do it, and we're going to kind of big brother this defense a little bit. So we're going to see if they'll be able to do that today. Ed Oliver, obviously a huge get back for this Bills defense. Huge name for this Bills defense. So it's going to be exciting to see what this Falcons offense can do against this Bills defense. Let's go ahead and get to the keys to the game presented by Wells Fargo. Rack only has 3 for me, but you've got 3 for me today. What is your first key to the game?
Yeah, I just kind of touched on it. You got to execute in the red zone, right? If you're going to nickel and dime your way down the field, then you got to cash in when you get inside the 20. And the Falcons so far, 46% of their trips inside of the red zone have resulted in a touchdown. That's not good enough. What is good enough? 4 of 6 in the red zone against Washington. You saw them put up 34 points. Points are going to be at a premium in this game. You got to score to keep pace with Buffalo. You got to execute in the red zone.
Yeah, I think the red zone it's been a hard point of execution for this offense. I think you kind of saw it click a little bit more in week 4, so we'll see if they'll be able to do that again tonight. Let's go to key 2. What you got for me?
Yeah, you got to limit the explosive plays, right? Again, taking a page out of the Patriots playbook, they did not get beat deep, right? Not by scheme. The Bills' offense, they're 5th in plays of 10-plus yards, and they're 3rd in plays of 20-plus yards. This is an explosive offense. They want to go over top of teams. The Falcons are 1st in plays of 10-plus yards allowed, and they are 2nd in 20-plus yards allowed. You talk about good-on-good matchups. They're all over the place tonight, and this is another one right here. Don't get beat deep. Keep everything in front of you.
I think that's the more exciting. I mean, I know you said it was a great offense against great offense. I think it's great offense versus great defense, and which one can win consistently tonight throughout all 4 quarters between the Bills offense and the Falcons defense. What is your 3rd and final key of the game tonight?
Let Bijan cook. Let him go. Give the ball to number 7 107 times tonight. Okay. I don't care. Give it to him as much as you can. He has been so much fun to watch. He forces so many missed tackles. The dude is crazy. There just aren't as many players like him in the league. So give him the ball as much as you can.
Let Bijan cook. Don't let James cook.
There you go.
There you go. There's my pun. I know that you love. He loves a dad joke. You guys loves the puns. So I had to gift that to you today. Don't let James cook.
You made my night.
If you know, you know. All right. It's time for Taylor's preference, obviously. Rack's not here. I did text Rack my preference. He wished us good luck because he's on the call tonight, and I texted him my preference, and he gave me a big like and heart. So I think he likes my preference. My preference tonight is let it fly, okay? Michael Penix is known for his arm and what he's able to do and how quickly he can flip the field with one single throw. He's insanely accurate in the deep pass. He struggles a little bit more in the intermediate short pass, but he is electric with the deep pass, and I would like to see more of it. He's only attempted 7 passes over 30 yards so far this season. That, of course, is only 4 games, but let it fly tonight. I mean, I know it's all about time of possession. Let it fly. You want to become a national name? Then let the ball fly. You want people to say, that guy can throw the ball. That guy looks similar to Josh Allen in the way that he can play. And I think tonight is a big moment for Michael. Something else I want to mention about Michael and this Falcons offense, if I can find it. Michael is 3-0 when his completion rate is over 60%. He is 0-4 when his completion rate is under 60%. Knowing that stat line, I mean, I told that to you before the show started, and you were like, that is extremely telling. Well, how much pressure does that put on Michael to make sure that he makes really sound throws downfield, takes shots when he can, but make sure that they're catchable balls as well?
Yeah, no, that is the key, right? And something that really, really has impressed me about Michael Penix Jr. is his ability to kind of process very quickly and get the ball out of his hands fast. Find the open guy, hit the open guy. When you feel like they're backed into a corner, you got him on the ropes, and the haymaker is there. Absolutely, let it fly like you said. But by and large, I know game manager can sometimes feel like a negative term. I don't think it is tonight. Manage this game, make the smart decisions. You've got the talent to go out there and win this game and go do it.
I think, too, something else, and we'll kind of wrap on this, but I think something, too, that everyone kind of knows about Michael Penix, if you've seen him throw a ball, that thing rips. I mean, you can dang near hear it go by
it's
your
like
ear.
A Nerf whistler.
It goes so fast. I heard someone say the other day, if he threw the ball through a car wash, the ball would not get wet. That's how hard he throws it. That's why I think it's kind of hard for those intermediate throws, those kind of short field throws to happen for Michael, because he throws it so hard. He's still trying to find his touch with those shorter field throws. So I think tonight, like you said, be a game manager. Make the smart decisions. If the receiver is not there, the pass catcher is not there, just throw it out. It's not a big deal. Let's keep it moving. Let's stay in positive direction. Listen, guys, this is going to be a fun game, and we know that you guys are excited for it, so we're going to give you an opportunity to turn this off and flip to ESPN. Dan Orlovsky has the call tonight on ESPN. Super excited for this game. Thank you so much for joining me today. It's been a pleasure. You're welcome anytime. Even if Rack is available, you might be coming for his job. I do appreciate it.
Bump him out of the chair.
Exactly. Well, appreciate you guys. We will see you next week back here as we have a 1 o'clock kickoff next week, so we'll see you then. Bye, guys.